So fundamentally, I came to the conclusion that more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition, worse than sugar, and more health benefits would come to the body of people who are eating these damaged oils if they took an oil change to oils that are actually made with health in mind. Damages the oils is light, oxygen, and heat. In the frying pan, all three are wrecking the oil all at the same time.
Right.
So if you want to make oils that are not damaged, you have to make a super tight production method where the seed or nut that contains the oil, from the time it's closed in nature's packaging. Nature's packaging is very good. They found flax seeds in caves in Switzerland that were 5,000 years old, and they planted them and those flax seeds grew.
Are you navigating the choppy waters of perimenopause? You're not alone, and I've got something that might be your lifeline. Let me introduce my new product, Estro Balance Mastery. This isn't just another supplement, it is a perimenopausal powerhouse. Estro Balance Mastery is a medical-grade formula designed by me to support you through the transitional phase. Let's break down these powerful ingredients and how they work for perimenopause. DIM and chrysin are your dynamic duo for managing erratic estrogen levels that cause hot flashes and night sweats and mood swings. If you're feeling foggy, the flaxseed extract is rich in lignans that support cognitive function and help clear that perimenopausal brain fog. And ladies, if those night sweats are killing your sleep, the green tea extract and broccoli sprout compounds work together to help regulate body temperature. But that's not all. Milk thistle supports your liver, which is crucial for hormone metabolism during this time. The best part is it's 2 capsules a day, and you're giving your body the support it needs to navigate perimenopause with grace. It's made in an FDA USA inspected facility, and you know you're getting quality ingredients. All you've got to do is head over to metabolicblueprint.com/pod10, and that's metabolicblueprint.com/pod10 to get 10% off your first bottle. That's right, it's 10% off just to get started on your journey to a smoother perimenopause. Have you ever met somebody with such a storied past that you feel like you could ask them any kind of question and you would get some serious stories? So today's guest is that guest. Today's guest is Udo Erasmus, the founder of Udo's Choice and the author of the book Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, which has sold over 250,000 copies. As an acclaimed author and speaker, Udo has an 8-step process that takes into consideration all of the elements of nature and human nature, including physical health, mental health, presence and awareness, life energy, and being in harmony with nature and humanity. Udo's background includes studies in biochemistry, genetics, and nutrition, as well as psychology. And Udo has a master's degree in psychology, and I had such an interesting conversation with Udo. So welcome to the show, Udo.
I am excited to talk to you because, number one, I was talking earlier and I actually ran out to the kitchen and I got my oil because I wanted to show that I've been taking Udo's oil for a long time. And I'm so happy to have you on Menopause Mastery. But I'd love for you to share your story. Like, how did you get into your omega-3, omega-6, omega-9 balance? Healthy oils, it's a unique world, especially how early and how long ago you really dove in. And I'd love to hear how you got there.
Well, the short version of the long story is I was born in 1942 in Europe during the Second World War. And we ended up my parents came from Latvia. They left because Latvia ended up with the Soviet Union and they hated communism. They ended up in Poland. I was born in Poland when it was part of Germany. And Soviet Union and Germany just took the land away from the people. There was nobody from Latvia or Poland at the meetings where they decided to confiscate the territory. And so I was born on a stolen farm. At the end of the war, we were refugees fleeing from communists in tanks and trucks on dirt roads with horse-drawn hay wagons, with dead people in the ditches and dead horses and dead people, women with young children trying to get out of this war craziness. And no military presence on these dirt roads. And the Allies, which we like to think of as the good guys, they were using us as target practice, shooting at us from planes. So it was winter. My mother decided it was safer to go through snow-covered fields than to stay on the road. And so she had 6 kids with her. She had to leave 4 of them behind. And so I got left behind. I was one of the fortunate ones to get left behind. And I ended up in an orphanage for a while. And then eventually her sister found us and reunited the family. But I remember not feeling safe, not knowing what I could trust, because the story changed every day. So they told you to do one thing one day and they told you the opposite the next. So I was like, okay, well, and that made me kind of into a born scientist. I was always trying to figure out how things worked, because if you know how things work, you get a certain amount of security because you could predict and control, right? Mm-hmm. When I was 6, I listened to adults argue about crazy things, and it made me really uneasy because it was so intense, and I was always like this, covered my, protective, right? And it occurred to me, man, there must be a way that people can live in harmony. And this little cocky voice says, and I'm going to find out how. And that's been my driver all my life, always been. So I got into science, and first into the hard sciences. And then I said, no, actually, I'm more interested in the biological sciences, because you look at nature, oh my God, this is incredible. Sun shines, the grass grows, the trees grow, the leaves fall. You get a little flower in spring, and in the fall, you eat an apple that came out of that flower. You look at that, it's like, oh my God, this is so incredible. I want to know everything about it. So I got into biological sciences. And my goal there was I wanted to know what life is, because biology means study of life. And I thought we would end up with a beaker of life, something liquid and shining, half filling this beaker. And we'd say, there's life. Oh my God, I've just seen life. I know what life is now. Well, we didn't learn that. We learned form and function. We don't study life in biology. It's like, wow. Then I did psychology, study of soul. Thought, well, soul, that sounds like there might be something there that might be interesting. We didn't study soul in psychology. We studied thoughts, beliefs, emotions. Then I went to medicine because I wanted to know what health is, because it's called healthcare. We didn't study health there. I went to the dean. I said, what is health? He said, we don't know. We're working on it. But they're not working on it because they only study disease. So I went back into bioscience, because at least you're getting to know something about normal functioning of normal creatures in normal situations. Ended up in biochemistry and genetics, getting close. Like biochemistry is common to any science that is physical. And then genetics is like, oh yeah, that's in the control room. That's where all the decisions, all the bells and whistles and levers are to make this happen. This whole thing, over 70 years, 80 years, 20 years, right? And all of it run by that. And so I thought, wow, well, I must be getting close. Well, I still didn't find what I was looking for. So then I actually got into, first I experimented with psychedelics. And the first thing that happened, I took an LSD trip with Sandoz LSD, the original from Switzerland, 60 micrograms. It's like super tiny dose, and had this incredible experience. And I laughed and laughed till the tears were running down my cheeks, laughing and crying, because it struck me as the funniest thing I'd ever come across, that everything that I was so studiously looking for out there was all in here. Oh my God, that is the funniest thing. And there's a joke about that, right? God gets tired of humans bitching all the time. Yeah. So he says, I want to get away from humans. Where should I go? So they say, oh, go up on Mount Everest. And a little kid who's really wise says, no, they'll find you there. Okay, hide in the deepest trench in the ocean. Kid says, no, they'll find you there too. And he says, well, what do you suggest, you little kid? He says, hide in their heart. They'll never look there.
Ah, that's great.
Right? So then I got into scriptures, because I was thinking, okay, so who should I model myself after? My parents were not my model. They were very messed up by their life in Europe. First World War, Bolshevik Revolution, Depression, Second World War. That was their life in Europe. Okay. And of all the things in my culture that I could say, okay, there's this guy called Jesus. He sounded like a cool guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about the religion. I'm talking about him. And so my question was, I would like to know what Jesus experienced that made him live like he did, talk like he did, do what he did. I don't want to be Jesus. I don't want to have a religion named after me, but I want to know there must have been something there. He must have experienced something. Just like if you see somebody who's really good at something, you want to know, what is it that drives you? Where's this coming from, right? So I read the New Testament. Obviously, you don't have to read a lot of it. It says, kingdom of heaven is within you. Then it says, first seek the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added unto you.
Right.
Okay. That's a hint of maybe something you should actually take seriously and do.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And then one other thing said, what you have done to one of the least of these, that you have done to me. And to me, I didn't ask a preacher or a brother for interpretation. I said, what does that mean to me? What it meant to me is like, if I am in everyone, what you have done to one of the least of these, that you have done to me. Well, that means if all of these least of these, I am in them. And
Right.
of course, eventually I figured it out. Life is what he's talking about. And
Right.
life is in everyone. And life is Christ, if you want to go the religious route.
Right.
All the masters talked about that. They all said, what I can do, you can do. Maybe you can even do more.
That's
so,
true.
So they never said, I'm perfect and you're completely screwed. The religion did that.
Yes.
Right. And so I was trying to figure all that out. And then eventually I had a meeting with this being made of light. That's a whole other story. And the message was, because I got treated really badly by Christians. It's a religion of love, and they judge all the time. They judge and judge and judge. And I went to one, I said to them, must be possible to see God and live, because it doesn't make sense that God loves you, and if you look at him, he kills you. That's what we were told as kids.
Yes.
Right? So it doesn't make sense. So I thought, okay, we're going to have a deep conversation about a deep topic. And I said that to the guy, didn't introduce myself, and he jumped out of his chair and he, you're from the devil, you're from the Antichrist, get out! So they threw me out. And so I went to clear my head. I used to go to nature to do that. In the middle of the night, I woke bolt upright. There was a being made of light, no words, no labels, but it embodied something. That being embodied something. And I could put words to it. The words were, I am come not to judge, but to love.
Okay.
All my confusion was immediately gone. I am come not to judge, but to love. That was the message of the master to humanity. And it turns out later on, when I was feasting on this experience as a profoundly powerful experience, that's also the message of life to your body. I am come not to judge, but to love. You are loved unconditionally. Your body is loved unconditionally by life, 24/7, lifelong. And so that was what I was looking for in biology and psychology. There it was in one experience on a deserted beach in Canada, all by myself, trying to clear my head from being treated really badly by some Christians. And I got to say, I have to thank them now for doing that, because it set me up for that.
Yes.
Because I really wanted to know. When you get desperate, you get sincere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened. And then I got married and we had 3 kids, and my marriage broke up, and I was really upset and I wanted to kill something. So not very Christian of me.
Yeah.
But I took a job as a pesticide sprayer,
Oh my goodness. Wow.
because pesticides are only made to kill living things.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
So I sprayed them for 3 years, very careless, walked barefoot through what I sprayed. Eventually, I got poisoned by pesticides.
Oh my
Went to
goodness.
the doctor, said, what do you got for pesticide poison? Answer, nothing. And that's the day the penny dropped for me about how really clearly my responsibility my health is. And I kind of knew it, but it was never never that really definite.
Right.
And so I decided to use my background to try and figure it out. And I went into the research journals to read everything about health and nutrition, disease and nutrition. And I was looking at minerals, the essential nutrients, 18 minerals, 13 vitamins, 9 essential amino acids from proteins. And then there was, at that time, it was 1980, only one essential fatty acid was known for sure, which was the omega-6, which is in all of the cooking oils. Omega-3 was established as an essential nutrient the year after I started digging through the journals. So my timing was perfect. It wasn't my timing, but the timing was perfect. And then I was reading through oils, and they were really contradictory. And I needed good advice, because I was trying to recover from poisoning. So I wanted clear answers. It wasn't like, oh, just tell me something. It's like, no, I need to know what's true. So I'm going through all this stuff, and I read an article that says omega-6 is an essential nutrient, and that means you can't make it. You have to have it. It has to come from outside. If you don't get enough long enough, you die. It's really important stuff. If you're losing your health because you're not getting enough, but you bring enough back into your diet before you die, because death, by definition, is not reversible, right?
Right.
So if you bring enough back before you die, then all the problems that come from not getting enough are reversed. That's what essential means. And they have identified chemical reactions in the body that require that nutrient, and without which that chemical reaction cannot take place. That's the definition of an essential nutrient.
Absolutely.
So I'm reading omega-6 is an essential nutrient. And the very next study I read said omega-6 gives you cancer and kills you. And I'm going, wait, I have to eat it so that it can kill me?
Right.
There's something wrong with this picture. And that contradiction, it drove me crazy. Because what are you going to do with that? Yeah, I eat it because I have to, and I know that's going to give me cancer and I'm going to die.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
So that made me look deeper. And then I found out that when oils are made, by the way industry makes oils, they treat them with harsh chemicals and then they bleach them and then they heat them to frying temperature to get rid of the rancidity that makes them taste and smell bad. And in that process, 0.5 to 1% of the molecules are damaged.
Yeah.
So then I called the Oil Chemist Society and I said, I want to talk to a researcher. And I asked him, why do you do that when you know it does damage? He said, oh, one of the reasons we do that, we can get rid of half the pesticides in the oil. And I'm thinking in my head, oh, the other half stays in. But I didn't even know there were any pesticides in oils at that point.
No, at that point, nobody did. We were like, everything's fine.
And I'm poisoned by pesticides. And I'm saying, this is not a good answer. So I said, why don't you start with organically grown seeds? Because then you don't have any pesticides. He had no answer, and he got mad at me. And he said, what the hell is your problem? The oil is only 1% damage, it's 99% good, and if you got 99% on an exam, you'd be damn happy. I used to get 100% in some of my exams because I was really good at some of the stuff that I really liked. Anyway, so then I thought, okay, well, when in doubt, do the math. So I'm going to do the math with you, okay?
Okay.
Women can't do math, I've been told, but I know that that's not true. So,
no, that's definitely not true. But we don't necessarily get the same experience in math class.
yeah, I understand. yeah, I understand. Women are more practical. Let's leave it at that. Okay.
True.
And so if you have a tablespoon of an oil, that is 1% damage. And so an oil is 15 milliliters and 14 grams because oil is a little bit lighter than water. Okay.
Yeah.
How many damaged molecules will you find in that 1 tablespoon of oil that is 1% damaged by the process?
Okay, so 1% is damaged.
Yeah, and it's 14 grams.
And it's 14 grams.
1 U.S. tablespoon.
14 grams, 1%.
Yeah. How many damaged molecules?
As a percentage or as a total number?
No, just a number.
A number?
You have the percentage already. It's 1%.
Yes, I was like, it's 1%. Yes, okay, 40% or 40 molecules.
40 molecules? No, so molecules are really small.
Right.
And there's a way to figure it out. If you get a fat molecule and you figure out what is the molecular weight.
Say we're missing a piece of the equation.
In the molecular weight in grams, you will have 6.023 times 10 to the 23rd molecules. That's a 6 followed by 23 zeros.
Right.
Okay, that would be in about a liter of oil. That bottle that you have, that'd be about a liter, right?
Right.
But we're talking about the tablespoon, which is like maybe 100th of that.
Right.
And we're talking about 1% damage. So you have to take 4 zeros off that. So you end up with 10 to the 19.
Okay, yeah. I was like, now I'm doing the math because now I know molecular weight. Yeah, so that's an incredible amount.
Yeah, so the actual number is a 6 followed by 19 zeros. That's the number of damaged molecules in a tablespoon of oil that is 1% damage.
Okay.
And that's more than 1 million damaged molecules for every one of your body's 60 trillion cells.
Yeah.
And what do you think? And these are molecules that are damaged. They didn't exist in nature. So they probably don't work too well in the body. They may actually be quite toxic too.
Right,
because they'll get into your body. They'll occupy space where a fat molecule should be or an oil molecule should be.
Right.
Wherever they are, they will interfere with what's supposed to be going on there. And that's going to hurt the flow of energy, the flow of chemical reactions. That's going to interfere. Blocking interference, sidetrack. And then most people use 2 to 4 tablespoons. So you got to multiply that number. So now you're talking to 2 to 4 million, more than 2 to 4 million.
Yep.
If you fry it, you got to multiply that number by another 3 to 6 times.
Right.
There's pesticides in the oil. They're in plastic bottles. Oil swells plastic and plastic leaches into the oil.
Yep.
That doesn't do well in your body either. So fundamentally, I came to the conclusion that more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition, worse than sugar, and more health benefits would come to the body of people who are eating these damaged oils if they took an oil change to oils that are actually made with health in mind. Damages the oils is light oxygen, and heat. In the frying pan, all three are wrecking the oil all at the same time.
Right.
Right? So if you want to make oils that are not damaged, you have to make a super tight production method where the seed or nut that contains the oil, from the time it's closed in nature's packaging is very good. They found flax seeds in caves in Switzerland that were 5,000 years old, and they planted them and those flax seeds grew.
Yes.
That's how good the packaging is. It'll keep it for 5,000 years, right?
Yes.
We only want a year or two. So if you can, from the time it's in the seed, packaged by nature's packaging, through the pressing, the filtering, the settling, the filling into a glass bottle, dark glass bottle, nitrogen flush, with a box around it to cut out all the light, in the fridge, in the factory, the store, and at home. If you have to have a system that is so tight that no light, no oxygen, and no high temperature gets to the oil through that whole process. And that's what I developed because I was just desperate enough because I knew I had cancer to look forward to because 60% of our pesticides cause cancer, and they do it by either wrecking your nervous system or wrecking your respiration. Two ways that most things that kill.
Right, exactly.
So I had that look to forward to. I wasn't too keen on the idea. And so I said, we need to I cannot get healthy on these damaged oils. We need to make them with health in mind, develop the method. And then omega-3, I found out 99% of the population doesn't get enough for our health. It is essential by the definition I gave. It is 5 times more sensitive to damage than the omega-6, so it's a nightmare to work with.
Yes.
And there are fewer sources because the omega-3s come more from the poles.
Right. Yes.
They're more abundant at the poles and they're harder to find in the warmer areas.
Right.
And so we put the method together, and I said, it was like, okay, if we could make oils with health in mind and we could bring the missing omega-3s back into the diet, oh my God, we could help almost everybody.
Yeah.
And I got so excited. This is like, of all the things that I did up to then, by that time I was 38 is when I got poisoned. So up to that time, I had done a lot of work and I did different blue collar jobs because I wanted to know what it was like to be in the shoes of the people who do those kind of jobs, but none of it, there wasn't anything that really inspired me. What do I want to do with my life? I don't know. Do I want to be a researcher? I don't know. What about, what about farming? I don't know. And now I was like, oh my God, this is worth doing. Oh my God, we could help so many people. Oh my God, this is like a purpose worth standing for, right? And when you help people, there's something about human nature that when you help people, it feels good in the chest.
Yeah.
And when you hurt people, it hurts in the chest.
Yes.
It hurts you in the chest. When you actually pay attention to your chest.
Yeah, you can feel it.
If I can help almost everybody, you think that's going to feel good in your chest?
Of course it is.
Oh my God.
Of course it is.
And so that was the drive for doing all of that. And
that's awesome.
We worked our butts off. We had no money. I had no business background. We made decisions right and left about how to put a company together, all based on standards that we set for the quality of the oils. And then we ended up in a van without air conditioning in the hottest months in the US. We did 17,000 miles, 35 states, 85 cities, 101 days. And my driver had built himself a bunk at the back. And then we just talked about oils made with health in mind and flax oil. And we were so inspired and we were so on fire. In 2 years, flax oil became the highest selling oil in the natural foods industry, which is where we were active. It was just like, we can help almost everybody. And then I became omega-6 deficient on flax oil because it has a lot of omega-3, but not enough omega-6. And so I became omega-6 deficient, dry eyes, skipped heartbeats, arthritis like pain in my finger joints, and thin papery skin. Fixed it by eating sunflower seeds because I have a lot of omega-6 and no omega-3, so brought the balance back. And then I developed a blend that is properly balanced so you cannot get hurt. Because I'm trying to help people, I don't want to make something that can actually hurt them. So that's why I moved away from flax oil, and that's why we made a blend. And in the blend, the ratio between two omega-3 and omega-6 is perfect because omega-3s have more health benefits because they're missing in so many people. But you have to have enough omega-6, not damaged and made with health in mind, so that the one doesn't crowd out the other and the other one doesn't crowd out the one, because they use the same systems in the body to get converted into probably hundreds of different other derivative molecules. And you need to have the
Absolutely.
ratio right so that both of them get to unfold their benefits.
Yeah, I think there's several things that I want to point out to my listeners because I think for them to really understand how important this is, because you talked a little bit about it, but I think we can dig in a little bit, just a tiny bit more. These molecules, these fat molecules get integrated into your cell membranes, your mitochondrial membranes, every tissue. And when you have pro-inflammatory damage 6 fats, omega-6 fats, it obviously causes conductivity, like think of it as none of the messengers, none of the electrical, and none of the communication works properly on the cell. But on the flip side, you've been around a long time, obviously, I've been around a long time, and you also get people that are like, oh, if omega-3s are great, if a little bit is good, then I should just take a truckload of them. And it has a U-shaped curve, right? Omega-3s, which are vital for and essential, we need some, but you can overtake those or overeat those and actually throw off the balance in how the body handles inflammation. And it's in the literature shows that we can have sort of a U-shaped curve where we actually start to see less improvement because we can't launch an appropriate inflammatory response when we need to. So I think that's so important because especially in nutrition, it's like anytime there's the newest, hottest thing, everybody's like, okay, I'm going to take super physiological doses because it's going to just make me a rock star. And I'm like, no, that's not how it shows up in nature. We need to keep it in balance with what the body anticipates it's going to be getting. So I think I really want that to hit home with people because it's so important.
So the couple things come up there. So one of the things is that the essential fatty acids, both of them, are in the membranes. You said that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But they're in the membranes. They're stored there. They have a function in the membranes, but they're stored there.
Yes.
And the cells pull them out and make hormone-like regulating substances that regulate what's going on in your cells on a moment-to-moment basis lifelong. And both of them do it, and they have some opposing functions. And so you have to make sure that both of them get to do their jobs.
Right.
That's why the ratio is important. If you get too much of one, you crowd out the other. If you get too much of the other, you crowd out the one. Second thing is that we're living in a time where a lot of people are saying, don't use seed oils, don't use omega-6s, they're toxic, they're going to kill you. That's what I got from, omega-6 gives you cancer and kills you. And that's completely wrong. The people who say that, there have been people like that I've been doing this for over 40 years, started in 1980, 44 years, and there have always been people who said that. And if you look at the research, there's research done on omega-6s that comes up with some problems caused by the oils. What they're not doing, and what they've never done, and what the industry has never done, and what the doctors have never done, and what the media have never done, they have never told you that there's damage done to those oils by industry even before you fry them, and correct it even more. And that the fact that they've been damaged and you get all these damaged molecules hasn't made the news. So people don't know, and the people who write these books have done half their homework. They see the research, they say there are problems. Instead of blaming the damaged molecules for the problems, they're blaming an essential nutrient that you have to have for every cell in your body.
Totally. Well, and they're looking at in vitro studies, which means in a petri dish, which has certain application. But if you look at human clinical trials, I did an entire podcast on the seed oil debate. Based on human clinical trials, right? Because the reality is we're also not rats and we're not mice. And there are some shared biological systems, but when you look at human clinical trials, that doesn't stand up to that. The reality is it's what we do to these things. If you eat sunflower seeds or whatever kind of seed, that is very different than breaking out a bottle of sunflower oil that's been highly processed and cooking with it. And I think it's selective bias. You're a scientist, I'm a scientist. It's like, well, of course, if the only thing I look for is a study that says that this is bad, and I don't bother to question my own hypothesis, then I'm just going to jump to that conclusion. It's the damage done to the food. And then we fry French fries and other crap and then eat it. And then we feel bad.
So then omega-6s cause inflammation. That's what we get told, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are two kinds of inflammation. Omega-6 makes some of these hormone-like regulating substances to increase inflammation, which limits the movement of tissue.
Yep.
It's done by the immune system for healing purposes. When the healing is done, then those omega-6 made regulating substances are built down. So you get acute inflammation from omega-6s if they're made with health in mind. But if you get damage to molecules, you take these oils, then you get chronic inflammation.
Yes.
That chronic inflammation is not natural. It's because of the damaged molecules in those oils.
Yes.
And so I say more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition. And more health benefits will come from making the oil change your body needs to oils that are not damaged, to oils that are made with health in mind, that are properly balanced and are organic. And you use those oils not for frying. You use them in foods after they come off any heat source. And they're compatible with all foods.
Yes.
But you do not use them for frying, because the better the oil is for you when it's good, the more you damage in the frying pan, and then the worse it becomes for you. So it'd be better to fry in butter than to fry in oil. But I said it's not better, it's actually less worse. Because when you fry in butter and your food turns brown, you're burning the food, you're turning it into molecules that never existed in nature, and those molecules will burn you. You burn the food will burn you.
Yes.
Burn you, right? Fried oils, fry health. It's a chant. Fried oils, fry health. Fried oils, fry health. Every time you go and fry in your kitchen now, you're going to hear the chant. Fried oils, fry health. Fried oils, fry health.
Exactly.
Don't do it.
Yeah. I think I can say we were having a conversation earlier about my upbringing, and I talked about my religious upbringing. But the other thing is my mom, we had a garden. So, of course, a kid of the 70s, I thought my mom was really uncool, which she wasn't. She was cool because I was a kid of the 70s and 80s. But I had literally never eaten fried chicken until I became an adult. All my friends are like, and I'm like, I've never had fried chicken. And they were like, what? Because my mom that was not something she would cook, right? It's just, I never had it. And they thought I was crazy. And I'm like, well, I'm glad I never had it. I'm in better health because of it.
Looking back, actually, I was the crazy one. My mother was the smart one.
That's right. No, yeah. Hindsight's always fabulous. I'm like, wow, my mom was actually smart. She was homesteading, had a garden and stuff in the 80s. So, which is totally true. So tell my listeners, so obviously we're talking about your Udo's oil, this 369 blend, which is what I kind of held up earlier. So if you're watching us online, I have some, I use it all the time. And it's an oil that you would add after cooking, or, actually I do it as a shot and then I put some fruit behind it and call it done.
Yeah, I never tell people to take it as a shot.
You don't?
People don't like the taste of oil, no.
Oh, yeah. No, I guess that's true. I mean, I use it on salad dressings too.
Because what happened, people take it off a spoon because somebody told them to. Yeah. So then some of them say right to me, I don't like the taste of your oil. Oh, how'd you take it? Well, I take it off a spoon. When's the last time you took a cooking oil off a spoon?
Never.
Oh,
yeah.
I never do that. Well, why are you doing it with mine?
Yeah.
Mix it in food, spread your intake out over the course of the day. Goes with starch, goes with protein, goes with fruit, goes with vegetables, goes in cold food, warm food, hot food, goes in shakes, goes in smoothies.
Goes everywhere.
Literally compatible with everything.
Yeah,
and
I've mixed it as a salad dressing. I've mixed it kind of as a salad dressing with salt and pepper and olive, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and always, if you're going to put it in hot foods, put it in the food after your cooking is done.
Yes.
Do not take it close to the frying pan.
No, because you just damage it and you basically created a free radical.
Create a toxic mess.
Yes.
So these oils are very sensitive. You want to use them with care. So they're made with care. Nature grows them with care. We make them with care. We store them with care. We ship them with care. You store them with care. And also you use them with care.
Yes.
And then what does it happen? We've worked with athletes. Within 1 month of taking a tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day, their performance, if they did their sport to exhaustion, went up by 40 to 60% in 30 days.
That's awesome.
And, I'm 82, so.
If people aren't looking, you do not look 82.
I still do gardening and I dig stuff and, I run around, and I didn't have that kind of energy before I started looking at oils.
Yeah.
I have more energy now and I have no aches anywhere in my body.
Which is awesome.
I had arthritis when I was 38. If I bent my knees and put a little pressure on them, they hurt.
Yeah.
It wasn't really serious yet. All my siblings have arthritic kind of problems. I've got nothing. Except when I bang into something, but nothing. I have no, all my fingers, I got no bumps on my joints, all that stuff that you get when you have older. Inflammation. I got nothing. And that's it. And that comes from, I pay attention to what I do. Life standard for creatures that eat fresh, whole, raw, organic, local, And for human beings, probably mostly plant-based.
Right.
Because when the hunters only had rocks to hunt with, the animals either ran away or fought back. So it's really hard to catch them. And so they came home without meat a lot of times. And when they didn't have any meat, they ate vegetables because they don't run away. They don't fight back. They're really easy to hunt down and kill. So we were probably more gatherer hunters than hunter gatherers.
100%.
There were some places where there was a lot of meat and it was easy, but most places it wasn't like that.
No, because you remember the caveman Uzi they found in the caves in, I want to say it was in Sweden. I could be wrong. He was obviously in a fight, got injured, died in this cave, and was basically frozen in the cave. More than like 10, 15 years ago, they found him because everything was melting. And he was perfectly preserved. He still had seeds in his gut. He had pulses and seeds. You could tell that he had some arthritis. Like, we were not just eating animal protein. We were eating a lot of vegetable-based foods, and protein, animal protein was when we got lucky.
Right. And the other thing is, the cow you eat.
This isn't the same cow.
Cow's made out of grass.
That's
the
right.
milk that you drink, it's made out of grass. So the idea people sometimes say, oh, you don't get enough protein, or you don't get this or that. There's enough protein in grass to make a cow have a big butt that you call a steak, right?
Right.
We're not grass eaters, but there's as much protein, as much or more protein in seeds as there is in
very
meat,
high.
because meat is 80% water and seeds are about 10 to 12% water. So when I eat my seeds and nuts, they're about 12 to 20% protein.
Right.
And
exactly.
And the idea that plants don't have complete protein, well, they make a cow with complete protein. That was debunked probably 15 years ago. That, you have to be, when you eat plant proteins, then you have to do this and that. That's all BS, and there's always, you look at where do these stories come from, Who creates narratives? Those with a big mouth and a lot of money.
Yeah, I was saying it was money for sure. So Udo, obviously your oils are available pretty much everywhere, right? Most of your health food stores, your Whole Foods, Sprouts, all of
Health
those.
Food, mostly in the natural foods. There are some practitioners that use them. They're available on Amazon, but I would say go local because I don't know what Amazon does for storage and all of that.
I would be worried about storage.
Yeah, so
storage and transport.
I would say, support your local
health food store
retailers.
Yeah.
And it's I have to say I still love that I got to do this.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it, and I still have, because why? Because there should be a bottle of in every fridge.
Yeah.
And we're a long ways from there.
Yeah.
And that's just true. A matter of doing what we're doing here, letting more people know, telling the story, and then having them see for themselves what difference it is.
Yes. Thank you, Udo, for telling us about it and sharing your life experience and your products. So everybody, I want you to go out and I want you to check out Udo's Choice. It's Udo's 369 blend oil. It's going to be cold, not temperature, room temp, and you're going to keep it cold. So I want you to check it out.
It's in the fridge, in the supplement section.
In
the health food store. In a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge, in the supplement section, in the health food store.
Yes. Udo, thank you for coming on Menopause Mastery. I've had a wonderful time. We're going to come back and talk about a lot of other fun stuff that we had before we got on.
The deep stuff.
Deep stuff. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us on Menopause Mastery. And Udo, thank you. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. I love doing this because getting the story out. And, so you're really important because if I wasn't talking to you, I'd be in the bathroom talking to myself in the mirror.
Totally get it. Well, thank you so much. All right, everybody, have a healthy and happy day. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Menopause Mastery podcast. You are why I'm here, and I am so very grateful. Hit subscribe so you don't miss any wisdom on creating the most exceptional life on our terms. If this episode has helped you in any way, please share it with a friend to spread the love, and together we rise. You can follow me on social media at Betty Murray, PhD, and you can reach me online at bettymurray.com.